If you can do those two things, you will like instantly feel like a much more secure and locked in applicant. And you'll also be able to do the things that will increase your chances of making your physical therapy dream come true. Turning dreams into reality. Let's talk about how to feel less overwhelmed and more confident as a pre-PT. But before I do that, my name is Joseph Ngugi. I'm a physical therapist. I'm also one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, where we help you get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. So if you are a pre-physical therapy student that is currently either applying to PT school now, this year, next year, the year after that, at some point in the future, you're planning on applying to physical therapy school, this is huge because a lot of the things that hold us back from feeling like strong applicants are basically the thoughts in our minds, right? When we feel like we're not good enough, when we feel overwhelmed, like we're trying to manage so much information. Right now, we have access to information. Right now, as you listen to this is information, right? And so sometimes we're like, I don't know what to do with what I am being exposed to. I don't know what to do with the information I have. I don't know what to do with all of these classes that I'm taking. I don't know what to do with the application process. I don't know how to improve my chances of getting in. And so over time, we basically become overwhelmed. So I want to talk about these two things because if we can learn how to navigate through our overwhelm and bring it down, but also increase your confidence, which I actually call self-trust. And we'll talk about that here in just a few moments. If you can do those two things, you will like instantly feel like a much more secure and locked in applicant. And you'll also be able to do the things that will increase your chances of making your physical therapy dream come true. So let's dive into it. And of course, if you enjoy this training, then be sure to like, subscribe, share this out with other pre-PT friends that you know would value this. But let's hit these 2 points real quick. And then I have something for you at the very end. All right. So number one, how do I reduce my overwhelm? How do I have less overwhelm as a pre-PT? I have so many things on my mind. I'm trying to stand out. I'm comparing myself to other students. I don't know if what I'm currently doing is actually getting me closer to my dream of being a physical therapist or not. I don't know if I'm guessing. I don't know if I'm doing things the right way. I don't know if I'm wasting time. I don't know. So I feel so overwhelmed. And sometimes that overwhelm makes me feel like I'm never going to get into physical therapy school and I'll never become a physical therapist despite how hard I try. So here's the first part of how to reduce your overwhelm starting right now. Don't be what we call a quick take, slow act pre-PT. Basically, you are quick to take in information, but you are very slow to do something with it, right? So one of the first things that will help you reduce your overwhelm is start doing something with the information and resources that you currently have access to. So as you are listening to this training right now, this is a resource. So your question, the question I want you to ask yourself is, after you finish this training or any similar training to it, what are you doing with that information? After you finish researching one of your dream schools or doing a campus visit, what are you doing with that information afterwards? Are you just letting it sit in your mind, or are you actually doing something with it? Because that's one of the first things that you can do. Because think about it like this. Think of it almost like a basket, right? If I'm taking in all this information, at some point that basket will be full and I won't be able to take in any more information. Does that make sense? And so even though you might not have the perfect formula for how to increase your grades, even though you might not have the perfect formula for how to increase your ability to get into one of your dream schools, start with what you already know, right? And what I find is so many students wait. They wait and wait and wait. I'm still looking for more information. I'm still researching this. I'm still like, start acting on it. Start acting on it by saying, well, what do, like if one of the things I need to do is increase my grades, what do I know about what it takes to increase grades, right? And am I doing that, or am I still looking for more information? When it comes to finding some of the best schools for you, well, what do you currently know about that? And have you already put that into play? Or are you still like waiting for the right time? When it comes to the GRE, are you overwhelming yourself with this idea of, well, I've never taken the GRE before. I don't know how to navigate through it. I don't know where to start. Well, here's the beautiful thing. You have access to things like YouTube. You have access to things like Instagram, TikTok, Google. Y'all, you have access to information. And when you listen to it, some of of you have actually watched trainings. I mean, we've done some, right? And after you watch it, what are you doing with that information afterwards? Are you just listening to it and saying, oh, cool information, let me keep researching more? Or are you saying, oh, so the first thing I need to do is take a practice test. Let me just do that, right? So the first thing I need to do is look at my practice test and figure out where my biggest barriers are on the GRE, where I'm losing the most points. Okay, I can do that, right? And start to actually do it, because what happens is, just like that analogy of the basket, when I start doing something with the information I'm getting in, it creates more space for more information, for more resources. And that way you will never get overwhelmed as a pre-PT, and you'll also feel yourself getting closer and closer to being a better applicant, someone who's going to get accepted into a dream program, and of course, much closer to your dream of becoming a physical therapist. So that's the first part. Start doing something with the information and resources that you currently have access to. If you tell me that you have no resources, well, here's the thing. You're listening to this right now. This is information and this is a resource. So are you going to do something with what I am telling you right now, right? And so the second part about confidence, how do I increase my confidence? So I mentioned it at the beginning of this training, but increasing your confidence is simply increasing your self-trust. The reason why most of us do not have confidence in ourselves is simply because we have basically broken a bunch of promises that we have made ourselves, right? So whenever I tell myself something as simple as I'm going to attend such and such function, but then at the last second, I change my mind all the time. When I tell myself I'm going to start a new meal plan, and then I decide to basically get off of it 2 days in, right? Or I'm going to start a new workout plan, or I'm going to start a new habit pattern. And then 2 days in, 3 days in, I basically change my mind. Well, what I'm telling myself is that when I commit to something, I always change my mind. I always don't commit to it. I always don't fulfill it, which means that I am breaking promises that I make to me, right? And if you can start keeping the promises that you make to yourself, then you will naturally have more confidence in yourself. Does that make sense, right? And so one of the first things that you want to do is say, okay, what is something that I can commit to where I can keep a promise to myself with this thing that I know will help me? And I'll give you a few ideas here in just a second. But how can I set it up and say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z for the next 30 days or for the next 90 days or for the next year or for the next month or whatever it is for you, long enough for it to become a habit. But I'm going to do this come rain or shine, right? Even if I don't feel like it, I'm going to do it. And what happens is you start to train your mind that, number one, I can do hard things. Number two, I can commit, I will show up for myself when I tell myself I'm going to show up for myself, which now translates into your ability to say, well, I don't know how to find the best PT programs for me, but I know that if I was given the information, I know how to work. I know how to learn. I'm really good at learning. I'm really good at fulfilling the things that I'm being shown how to do. If I had a guide, if I had a coach, I know that I can show up. And as long as I'm willing to do that, then the information, as long as I have access to the right information, everything will be okay. And so that increases your confidence. And most of us just break so many promises to ourselves. And so if you want to increase your confidence, that is one of the first ways to do that. And so now if your overwhelm level is down and your confidence level is up, oh my goodness, now you're setting yourself up to be a standout applicant. Why is that? Well, I'm always doing the things that will help me get closer to my goal. I'm also resourceful. I'm able to take advantage of the resources around me because I know that my confidence level is up. My self-trust level is up. I know that if I have access to the resources, I'm going to take advantage of them. And I also know that when I am stuck, I can always ask other people for help. And as long as I listen to what they tell me and do something with it, I'm always going to inch closer and closer and closer and closer to where I need to be as an applicant.